Deborah Watson with Studio 222 Film Productions. And it's my joy and honor and privilege to introduce to you the brainchild behind a story called The Greenhouse. Jim Clark, welcome.
Hey, folks.
So, Jim, you and I actually met through the Branson International Film Festival, and we teamed up, gosh, a couple, 2 or 3 years ago. What has it been like working with the Studio 222 as a whole?
As a whole, I have learned so much about production. I, I started out as an actor screenwriter, and now I've been mentored in production by Deborah and several other people here in Southern California, and I've just been so excited. The creativity and building friendships, creating relationships in the industry, that has been great for me.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take everybody out of the picture and make it a little more personal. Especially with you being from the next generation ahead of me, what's it been like working for somebody younger?
Oh, um, I have no ego about that at all. I don't. Age to me is it's not necessarily relevant because there's a lot of wisdom in people who are much younger. I have a pastor at our church who's in his early 30s, and that man is just full of wisdom. Just a wonderful, wonderful guy. What I do like is the fact that you have such a great history. You have studied the art. You went through the Act One program, I believe, here in Southern California. You've just done so much, and you've allowed me to take what you've learned and put it in my head and my heart. And that's what I like about working with you and working with others within Studio 2.22.
Okay, so speaking of your brain and your hearts, we have the Fuel the Fire funding campaign group where you are surrounded by other writers and creators. And together as a team, some of you guys created your proof of concept with no budget. Some of them did it with low budget. Some of them did it with a moderate budget, and some of them did it with a full budget. Like that whole process of learning what your budget was from the time you dreamed up the story of the greenhouse to the time that you actually sat down and was like, whoa, this is how much it's going to cost to produce it. What was that
Mm-hmm.
journey like?
Scary.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, not scary in a bad way. I had a specific number, uh, and uh, and it was I was able to purchase all of the things that needed to be purchased, and then our director and executive producer was able to bring in his team, and so I ended up. It was a little more expensive than I was expecting, but not much more expensive than I was expecting.
Okay, so let's brag on Andre and his team a little bit because, like, in the midst of it all, you guys had just finished filming. David was starting the editing, and the Miami fires. No, not Miami. I'm so sorry,
Altadena.
not Florida. Pasadena and Malibu fires
Yes.
happened. David lost his home, had to flee with his family. He fled with all of his like thumb drives and content. He lost his gear. So that created a delay for you guys. So I'd like to kind of brag on Andre and his team of how they navigated that, but also talk about that waiting room because when things like that happen, it's really control is out of our hands and it's
Mm-hmm.
literally placed in our faith and trust and hope in God that he's going to make a way when honestly it looked like there wasn't going to be a way because I was like, oh my goodness, are they going to have to refilm? Like all the possibilities were right there in front of us. So what was
Yeah.
that like for you kind of being on the outside looking in, but also being the brainchild of it all? Because ultimately there was a high potential that that 6.4 just went up in smoke.
I really wasn't too nervous about it because as soon as, well, let me explain to our audience. Um, uh, Dave, who was the editor, is also works for a production company, He does a lot of editing on the side, but he works for a production company. And he and his family have a 2 acre, it's a 2 acre, maybe a little bit larger, property in Altadena, just above in the hills above Pasadena, where the Altadena fire rushed through their property and he lost everything. Now, he was able to get all of his digital material safely away in the process, along with his, he's got young kids, so along with his young kids and his wife and their animals, uh, but he lost his equipment in the fire. And so it was a matter of time because he not only had the greenhouse project, but he had other projects that he was working on as well. So I didn't worry because number one, God's in control. Number two, Andre and Dave are great guys. I knew neither one of them was going to back out at all at any time, and so I just waited. Sometimes, every once in a while, I just put a feeler out and say, "How's it going? Where are we at?" But I didn't worry. It was left in God's hands. And I'm okay with that.
I want to thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to having you back as a guest in the future. Are you up for that?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we will catch you next time with our Club 222 behind the scenes interviews with the people that are involved with our projects. See you later.